and hi and welcome. And I'm like stumbling all over the words. That's totally okay. In this section that I'm going to call Come LARP With Me, we have with us Cynthia Marie. So if you don't know her, you better, because we did a podcast for 5 years called Life Action Roleplay on various LARP topics. It's kind of where we all started. And if you don't know her from LA by night and New York by night, you could potentially roleplay with her at Darkness Emergent coming up in Las Vegas. Also, personally, she is a former professional dancer and she's currently an engineer, and she's studying for her master's at USC, and she is my BFF. Cynthia Marie, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so let's get into it. So for people who don't know what Darkness Emergent Las Vegas is, what is it and what's happening at that event?
Yeah. So By Night Studios puts on an event actually biannually now, which is a large-scale blockbuster live-action role-play or LARP event. Not only is it just LARP, vampire LARP specifically, but other communities or chapter games do come and play at the event as well. So it's just kind of like a all-around conglomerate of all things vampire, the Masquerade excitement. They have panels, workshops, you name it, anything that's going to help you get into LARP, into vampire, it's all there.
Tell me about who you are playing at this event.
Sure, yeah. So I am playing a canon NPC. Her name is Elizabeth Demetrios, not to be confused with Greg Demetrios from LA by Night. She is her own canon NPC character that was created by World of Darkness.
I was about to say, it's like, wait, is there a... Oh,
there's some people who are trying to make the correlation. I was like, no. She's a canon character. She's a ministry member. Her sire is Hesha, if anybody knows who Hesha is. Pain in the ass, but oh, am I allowed to cuss? Sorry.
You are allowed to cuss.
Pain in the butt and all around bad guy that Elizabeth has to go through. Actually, she has some like really kind of sad moments in the small bit that you kind of learn from her. Yeah.
Have you played Ministry before?
No, this will be my first time playing Ministry, which is wild to me because I have such a draw to this aura, this culture, this beautiful clan that they've created over the years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think I know why I stayed away, because I had a very interesting in-character, traumatic, but out-of-character moments where one of my first LARP characters fell in love with a, I'm going to use the bad word, I apologize, because I know it's changed, but she fell in love with a Setite.
Back then that's what they were called.
Right,
we're called something different now, so it's
right. Fine. I think within like a month or two of them being like the power couple of LA, like he gets taken away from her, like all these like terrible things happen, and she's like the frick, like
the trauma.
Right? And it's hilarious because the character is played by a player that's been there for centuries, it seems like, and all of their friends have been trying real hard to just bag on them, and so they come up to me afterwards. They're like, we mean no shade to you, we're sorry, we've been just trying to get them for a whole minute. Like, all right, fair enough. But it drew a kind of interesting trajectory for my character since that moment. So I think the reason why I maybe probably stayed away from playing Ministry was because of the backlash that clan often gets in LARP.
Yeah, Ministry, aka longtime Setites, aka followers of Set, is not a clan that a lot of people can play. And they definitely have a reputation for corruption and for deals. Yeah. So what is your take on being able to play a character like this coming into a large event like this?
Sure. So I've mentioned in another interview, I've never played a religious character. Ever. Religion just like never was my shtick. But in talking with head storyteller about the character and taking on the challenge of learning about the religious aspects of World of Darkness, let's talk through kind of the basics before I say like why I like want to take the character on, right? So those of you who don't know or maybe not have dived too much into the lore, most kindred have the affinity towards Cain. You'll hear everybody talk about Cain. Cain was the first. Cain was the one who gave all of the I call them basic clans for right now, but the basic clans, their powers and stuff like that. The ministry or the followers of Set renounced Cain, renounced the fact that Cain was not the first, that it was Set, the Egyptian god that gave them their power to do all of these things. And so you have this clash of religion between the Egyptian god versus Cain. However, side note, if I were to play another religious character, I love Lilith, and like I like fell in love with reading about her and her being like the first of the vampires and like being part of that like world. Love it. Anyways, I digress. Sorry. So knowing that there's the difference between the two, I'm enjoying understanding that part of the religion. However, with Elizabeth, the way we're kind of talking about her is that because of her traumatic experience from Hesha and how he treated her, she has gone through everything, the blessings and stuff like that, to be a follower of Set, but she has also renounced Set. She doesn't believe in Set.
Okay.
So I think it's a really cool challenge to see how the players deal with a leader that is a ministry member that doesn't believe in this kind of stuff. Yeah.
So knowing that you're also not just this religious leader, but you're also one of the 3 heads of Vegas in this Anarch Triumvirate. So how are you expecting to be engaging the players as that leadership?
Right. So Elizabeth, I think we've seen that she is labeled as the head of mortal affairs. And so she's very interested on how do we engage with the mortals without hurt or abandonment of things, right? She's very much trying to keep the peace amongst the community so that they can kind of live in harmony. So she's in charge of a couple of different things that, again, I will invite people to come talk to me. There is a lot of information that Elizabeth does have that can influence your play or her play. And I will say I have a alternate costume that I am probably going to get in case a persuasion happens.
Oh, okay. Ooh, we got some plot drop right here.
Yes, yes. I don't. Me personally, I think it's about a 30% chance that they will persuade my NPC to do something. But if they do, there's an alternate costume that may come out.
Nice, nice. Now, I know that in a LARP setting, and knowing that you've done a lot of things in LA by night, New York by night, I can imagine a few attendees might feel intimidated trying to approach you. So what's an elegant way to signify that they want to role play with you without feeling awkward? Is there a way to engage that helps?
Yeah. I think there's several different things. How do I say this? So I did San Antonio, where I was the Prince of San Antonio, and I was dressed in my Nosferatu makeup and everything. I would say a lot of the players who knew who I were whatever.
Or who you had been.
Who I have been. They just dove right into their character and played their character. So it wasn't them versus Cynthia Marie, right? It was their character versus the prince. Now, if you're intimidated by the prince because that's how your character is, then by all means be intimidated. I did my best to engage with everybody, even if they were standing alone in the corner listening. I did my best to pull them into the conversation. So if you are afraid to come talk to me, but you want to, feel free to stand next to me and make eye contact with me, and I will happily pull you into the conversation and chat with me. For those of you guys who have met me, you guys all know I am a dork and a nerd, so there's no reason to be intimidated by me. I mean, look, heck, I got cat ears on. I don't know if you can see.
There we go. It just blinked in. It's like, yeah, you are. You're definitely a nerd.
I am
know
a nerd.
you well enough that you are a nerd.
I am just as intimidated and nervous and skittish as you probably are. I'm an anxiety warrior. I deal with a lot of anxiety. In fact, I deal with a lot of anxiety going into LARP because I get so nervous about how people are going to perceive me as the characters. So you're in good company if you're nervous, but please, by all means, just come up to me and say hi. If you want to break character for just a second, have at it. Say hi. I will break character with you. We can go grab like a glass of water and talk for a second. I'm just happy to be there and excited to bring this story to life.
Like, I've seen you throughout the years that we have LARP together, that I know that while you deal with anxiety, like, you have definitely gone better at managing it, or at least
Thank you.
I can't tell, but I've definitely seen that growth. Like, what are some tips that you might be able to share about how you manage your anxiety? Because I know there might be a few people watching that also have similar issues.
Yeah. So depending on how anxiety manifests for you, mine is very physical in the sense that I get nauseated and my throat will start to close up a little bit. So right off the bat, while I'm getting ready for the event itself, I do everything possible that day to have a relaxing day. And so even if I like in Chicago, I did have a few panels leading up to the actual LARP, but I made sure that about 3.5 hours before the game, I started doing my stress relief rituals. So I have a stress relief oil from Young Living that I put on. That's just like an automatic. My brain automatically goes into relax. So if there's a scent that calms you, like a peppermint or a lavender or whatever calms you down, I would suggest putting that on. I have nausea bracelets when I know that my nausea is going to start getting really bad that I immediately put on so I can start feeling better. If you have the money to do it, this is what helped me also, is I used to stress out about doing makeup. So I go to a local makeup artist and go get my makeup done. So that's just another hour of somebody just sitting there like primping you, and for me to just sit there and just kind of relax and get into a character. It's all about relaxation, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And then once you get into LARP, there are a few things that you can do to mitigate your anxiety. The first, note where all of your exits are, so that you can nope out at any time. It is absolutely okay for you to walk away from the situation, walk away from LARP because it's overwhelming. It is totally fine. Nobody's going to say anything. Nobody's going to doubt you. But do note, if you walk away from a confrontation because anxiety, your character still does get consequences. So just keep that in mind. And that's okay. It's okay, like, to have consequences for whatever actions, because that's the fun part about LARP, right? Find a quiet spot in the area that you think might be a nice place to sit, so that you're still kind of in the action but removed. I have a handy little game on my phone. It's called Untangle, and basically, like, I untangle like ropes because I don't know, I like untangling things that are knots. I'm weird, but it helps with my anxiety. So, like, to shut my brain down and just start playing with that game. So if you have a game that helps get you out of your anxiety mode, pull your phone out and just sit in the corner and play your game. Somebody will come up to you and ask if you're okay, and then you can decide as to whether or not you want to engage in a smaller conversation or come back to the larger conversation, etc. As for talking to people with anxiety, this was actually a topic that we covered on our podcast, which is basically like how to do icebreakers.
Yeah.
And one of the, I think, I forgot who it was. I do know who it was, but I don't want to say the name in case I get their name wrong. But they talked about having conversation pieces on, so like a piece of jewelry or like a button or something that's going to get somebody to start a conversation. Because if you're nervous about talking, somebody may come up to you and go, oh, that's a really beautiful ring. Where did you get it? And if you have a story about it, it makes it that much easier to just come out with that story versus trying to make something up on the spot. So I think that's the basics on mitigating anxiety. I'll tell you, I twice now at Darkness Emergent, I have had to do 2 major speeches in front of large audiences. The first time was in San Antonio. I had to address all of San Antonio, and I was nervous as all hell. Like I'm a systems engineer. I can give presentations like no one's business. Like I am never nervous about that. But for some reason, doing an improv speech in front of everybody with an accent, I was nervous. I was all over the place.
Improv speeches on the cuff, like in front of that many people, that's tough. That's a skill. That's a skill. So I respect why that's difficult.
So I sat down in the back for like 5 minutes and like wrote like a bulletized list of all the things that I needed to like say. And I had my phone, like no one's going to fault you for that. Right. So I was just scrolling through to make sure that I hit the points. For me, I don't think I did as great. You could probably ask people at the event to see what they thought. I feel like I stumbled over my words a little bit and I just didn't feel as strong about it, but it is what it is. I redeemed myself in Chicago when I played a changeling. Well, people were calling her the she queen. She wasn't actually a queen, but we'll go over. She was a duchess. But the she queen I had to go up against the mages and argue for why some member of my group should not be executed. And without having anything written down, I went toe to toe with the mages and successfully executed my point. I got lots of sympathy. Now, there were other things that happened in the game that I won't disclose, but I felt very confident in my delivery of the sympathy cards. So. But I was super anxious about doing both of those. Like my heart was racing. I was just like, oh my God, like I don't know if I'm going to do a good job here. So like just I guess goes to show you, it doesn't matter how seasoned you are, you still get nervous and anxiety can take over.
Yeah, that makes sense. As someone who does a lot of corporate hosting, like I have to speak in front of a whole bunch of people at any given time as my job. And I do notice that in a setting like that, more people are there to listen to you and to encourage you rather than judge you, especially in an event like this. So if you are so inclined to have to give a speech or talk to people, know that these people might be vampires and they might want to kill you at some point. But I think as players, they want the commonality and community of being able to encourage your best scene. Yeah. One last question, because you did talk a little bit about what you are wearing might spur conversation.
Sure.
What are you going to wear at this event?
Gosh, so I just went shopping yesterday. So the way I've been describing her is she is a mix of Cleopatra and Kim Kardashian.
Like they're not the same thing? What?
I know, right? Like, gee whiz.
Like that's overkill.
Yeah. So I have 4 outfits. Let me see. VIP event,
Aren't there like
Seraphim.
Isn't it like 3 nights and it's 4 outfits?
So, okay, well, so I have the VIP event. So if you've gotten an elder ticket or higher, you'll be invited to the VIP event to meet the Anarch leaders. So I have 1 outfit for that. Then there's Seraphim, which is the soft RP event that happens after that. That is open for general public. So I may have a costume switch there. And then the first night of LARP is Friday night. And the last night of LARP is Saturday night. And depending on what happens here, there may be another change in costume.
Oh, you got some suitcases you're going to pack for Vegas.
Well, so the good thing is I have been marching with the mantra of it's Vegas, baby. Less clothes is more. So even though it's November, the packing might be a little bit lighter.
Listen, it's also still Vegas. It still gets really hot. So
yeah, well, but November gets cold.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's desert. It's like it's either really hot or really cold, but we're inside. You know,
Which
that
also
maybe that
poses this
helps.
challenge because they pump the air condition like crazy. So if you get cold easily, like I do,
Hmm.
bundle up, be ready.
Yeah. Like my challenge, I think, for playing my character is that I know that everybody's going to be wearing, beautiful black. So I'm going to challenge myself to wear outfits that are not black.
Oh yeah, I'm not wearing black
Oh, there we go.
at
Nice.
all.
I
I
think
mean,
I
I
saw.
mentioned Cleopatra, so I'm wearing white. I'll say it. I'm wearing white. It's
Okay.
like the faux pas of the vampire world. You wear white, like it's kind of
Listen.
a cocky move to be honest with you, right? Because like you can't drip like blood or anything on you. So like
Mhm.
to me, that's like a confident kindred, like walking around in white, being like, "What's up?"
Yeah, like even in goth clubs, it's either all black or white, and then sometimes red. So, but if you're wearing white, you stand out, which is amazing because considering that you are an NPC for a large event, you do have to stand out.
Yep, yep, yep,
And
yep.
and then so one last question I think for people who are fans uh of shows like LA by Night and New York by Night, how would you say role playing in a LARP is different from role playing Mom Tisha, aka Nelly G, or Coco on screen?
Ooh, that's an interesting question because I don't view it as different than maybe some other people might.
Hmm.
I when I play those characters, I am constantly in character, moving and thinking and breathing as Nelly or Coco, even when I'm rolling the dice, which is the same concept as you would when you're in LARP. So I would say the difference is that I'm sitting
Hmm.
versus standing.
Hmm.
I'm throwing chops instead of throwing dice.
Hmm.
But I think the line of thinking is similar, right? Like I'm
Hmm.
making big decisions and interacting as a character. I'm asking questions in character.
Hmm.
Because how do I explain this, right? As a player at a tabletop game, you think as a player above board, but you'll also think as your character in game, right?
Hmm.
LARP, I would say, is ever so slightly different in the sense that, and I don't know about you, Ryan, maybe your trained your line of thinking is different. But when I'm in character, those above table thoughts kind of go away,
Huh, okay.
right? And you just start thinking as your character.
Hmm.
So it's no longer Cynthia looking at the board, being like, "Oh, if I do this, this, and this thing could happen." But I can't do that because my character wouldn't do that, right? Like a lot of people
Hmm.
kind of think in that sort of sense. When I'm in LARP, whatever's coming to my head, that's what my character's doing.
That makes a
So,
lot of sense. I know that when I do actual plays, I don't do a ton of them, but when I do, the thing that is very conscious in my head, and it could be my neurodivergence, is you're on. The camera is on. You cannot wait to respond because that's dead air. But in a LARP, what's amazing about that is that your silence can speak volumes. Like choosing when to speak, like will affect things as much as uh not speaking at all.
oh, I
Or
beg to differ though, hon, because
really?
yeah, absolutely. I don't know, like, so in New York by Night, as Coco being the La
Mhm.
Sombra, I did that. I paused because in LA, when I played Nelly, I always had a hard time coming up with words. And so I would choose the times that I would speak.
Hmm.
Mostly because I was just afraid. When I got into New York by Night, I realized that that was more of an asset than a hindrance. And so I
Hmm.
started utilizing facial expressions and actions and waited for people to give me the opportunity to speak. So instead of being like, I need to speak, I would just sit back and there's a gif of me doing this. And when people would look at me and be like, "Do you have something to say?" I would wait
Hmm.
and I would say something. And it becomes that more profound thing, especially if you're leaning into that microphone and you're
Hmm.
giving everybody that opportunity to listen in. So I think depending on how you utilize silence, it could be very powerful in an actual play. Now, I agree with you, dead air is dead air. So you
Hmm.
can't take too long,
Hmm.
but taking enough time to get everybody just a little bit on the edge of their seat works.
Oh God, That is awesome. um, and I believe right now, like that's time. You
Yeah.
know, we covered a lot actually.
That's quick.
Like that was quick, but that was time. Where can people find you on social media?
Sure. You could find me on the Meta platform, Cynthia__Marie. So that covers Instagram and Threads. You could find me on the Bird, because I don't want to call it what it's really called. Syndancer, Cyndancer. On Twitch, I do have a channel. I haven't started anything yet. I've been saying that for years, but maybe one day I will. Same thing, Syndancer. Pretty much all the other platforms, it's Syndancer or Cynthia__Marie. I don't TikTok though. I'm too old. Don't ask.
Same reason why I don't TikTok. It's just like I would rather spend that time making shows like this where we get to talk to people rather than trying to impress people in 15 seconds. So
exactly.
Yeah. If you want to know more about the event, Darkness Emergent in Las Vegas, you can go to darknessemergent.com where you can see some pictures of previous events and some plots that are going to be happening at this event. So you're able to not just prepare yourself by trying to develop a fabulous character, but you can see some plot hooks that you might be able to engage while you are there at this event.
Yes. And might I add, there is also a healthy Discord community that can also help you with character ties and character creation. So like sign up there too.
Where can they find this Discord?
Damn. Okay, I'm not that great with Discord, so I'm sure if you
Neither
go
am
on
I,
to,
so-
I'm sure if you go onto the website, there should be a link to the Discord, and you can sign up like kind of through there.
And because this is editing, I'm going to add whatever that Discord address is somewhere around here, and boom, there we go.
Woo!
There we go.
That thing.
Accessible.
That thing.
Here, there, it's somewhere. Thank you so much for joining us, and come LARP with me when you have time. Come LARP with me. Bye.
Bye, y'all.